Father, as we come today, we thank you for this opportunity, God. We thank you for being God all by yourself. God, as we ask your blessing as we go out throughout this this festival, God, we ask that your anointing be on it, that our eyes are open, that our hearts are open, that our minds are open, that we may be able to see through the Spirit what you want and would have for us to see, God. And we thank you, and we ask your blessing again throughout this Elaine Community Festival, Unity Festival. And we just thank you again, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, I'm going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. And I'm Lisa Hicks Gilbert. I am the founder and managing director of the Descendants of the Elaine Massacre of 1919. And we just want to welcome everyone that's on here, and make sure you go in and put questions, start asking questions if you have them. You can start that now, and we'll answer them throughout. We have someone that's going to monitor the questions for us. And I've introduced myself. We'll start with Easter. You want to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Easter McLean, just here to assist and support. I'm a proud native of the Elaine community, and I will be monitoring the chat tonight and presenting the questions that you guys have for Lisa and the rest of the panel.
Hello, my name is Julian Watson. I'm the president of the Elaine alumni here in Elaine, Arkansas, and a proud Elaine alumni myself, of course, born and raised in Elaine, Arkansas. And I look forward to answering any questions that you might have concerning the Elaine High School and Elaine alumni.
My name is George Gibson. I'm the pastor of Divine Deliverance Christian Ministries, as well as a part of Lee Street Community Center, and a native of Elaine, as well as the Elaine High School. So I'm here, ready and available.
Mr. McLean?
Can you guys see me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
You can see me? This is Charlie McLean, born in Lundale, Arkansas, October 19, 1961, graduated Elaine High School, May 16th, 1980. You know, native Elaine son. I'm here to support Lisa and everyone else in the community in regards to remembering our ancestors and trying to revitalize Elaine and all of Phillips County and Eastern Arkansas. Happy to be here.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, thank you, everyone, for being with us this evening. We really appreciate it. What we're going to do tonight is this. We call it a truth town hall. And the purpose of it tonight, you know, is to really allow everyone, but, you know, in particularly the citizens of Elaine, to learn more about the work that's being done around the Elaine Massacre, not just around the Elaine Massacre, but in the Elaine community and the surrounding communities. We really want to talk about, and the word truth, and we're going to kind of break that down to transparency, reconciliation. We're going to talk about reconciliation. We're going to talk about unity in our community. We're going to talk about trust, talk about some of our allies that we have, and some of the people who say they're our allies, and talk a little bit about how they can, you know, gain our trust, and talk about building those partnerships. And then we're going to end with healing. We're going to kind of save a little bit of the history of the Elaine Massacre, or our stories, personal stories, family history stories, towards the end. And we're going to kind of talk about a little bit of substance. And we're going to talk about our plans, our commitments to the Elaine community and doing that work. And like Charlie said, you know, revitalizing Elaine, the surrounding. And when I say the surrounding communities, a piece of what surrounding communities, I'm talking about all the way from Cane Ridge to Snow Lake, what is that? Lundale, Ferguson. I'm starting at the end and coming back up. We got Lundale, Ferguson, Melwood, my daddy's favorite place, Melwood, Arkansas. Coming on up to Rothschild. That's my grandparents. I spent a whole lot of my life in Rothschild, right there with my grandparents. Coming on up, swooping up to the back, Lambrook, coming on through Elaine. We have Wabash, Modoc, going all the way. And they used to have a little place called Knowlton. Used to be back there too. I used to go to church, little place on the Mississippi River, I think called Knowlton. And then even talk about Lakeview. Julie and I were on with some people. We were talking, they asked us, well, how well do you know people in Lakeview? And we said, well, it seems like half the people in Elaine married half the people in Lakeview. So they are indeed our partners, our friends, our family. If we need something from Lakeview, I mean, we call and they open their doors. So that's what I mean by Elaine and the surrounding communities, all of us collectively together. And then that includes Phillips County. And we're going to talk about just Phillips County in general. Everyone knows that Phillips County is the poorest county in the state of Arkansas. And then it is the place where one of the worst massacres in the history of this country happened. So we're going to kind of put all that in context and try to condense it as much as we can. This work is just beginning, and we are going to just hit on some of these topics, answer some questions so people get a feel for who we are, what we plan on doing, and our commitment to the community. And hopefully our work will start to engage more people in Elaine and the surrounding communities to help make Elaine a better place help make Phillips County a better place for everyone. So did anyone else have anything they want to add to that before we kind of go over the topic? Am I missing anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I don't need to add anything, just kind of giving everyone like a broad overview of kind of what we're going to be talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna try this, to do this live on Facebook.
I think you should.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to, I don't know how it's gonna do with me. I don't know if it's gonna knock me off. That's what I'm afraid of. That it's gonna knock me off.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of afraid of. I should have just zoomed
Well,
in.
maybe.
Yeah, I wanted to try it. So, but anyway, we'll try something. I'm just a little concerned people couldn't get in. But the first topic we have on here, again, we're gonna go through truth. The first topic we have, and before we get started, we are going to, be discussing people, and that's okay. And I want to make sure that people understand that, we're here for the truth, and we cannot begin to heal. We cannot move forward. We cannot do anything until we start asking some hard questions, and not just ask hard questions of those who are doing work or those who are in the community. We got to ask some hard questions of ourselves too. And I say that because when I was mentioning someone who's doing the work in Elaine and I wasn't happy with it, and someone said, well, you can't complain about something you're not willing to do yourself. Okay, if you want things, nothing will change if you don't, So, and that was true. And I couldn't be offended. And hey, the truth is the truth. So, one of the things we had talked about, and I know I talked about, and not just with this group, but with another group, and we talked about the public acknowledgement of the Elaine race massacre from elected local and state officials. And we just, this is something we had wanted to do, was get something official for this festival. But I wanted it to be a public thing, but since we went virtual, that didn't happen. So that is something I am going to ask of next year. And I don't know who's going to be the governor next year. Well, I think the election is after. I mean, the event is before the election, so we might still have the same governor. So, did anyone have any issue or concern about the public acknowledgement, or even we can't even get a public acknowledgement from our city, from Elaine, about.
What do you mean?
Disaster. Well, just just an official, something official about the Elaine massacre, about
Mhm.
what took place. You know what I mean? Something official.
Right.
And yeah, so we had, and we're going to talk about this, and I guess this can go right along in here, because this is the big elephant in the room, is the issue that we've had with Dr. Mary Olson. And we know that back earlier this year, Charlie is aware, I think everyone on here is aware of it, that Dr. Mary Olson introduced a resolution. It wasn't a resolution. Was it a resolution? To the city council. And what this resolution would have done, what it was asking is to make it to the city of Elaine was going to kind of put pressure, and I'm fudging on this a little bit, was going to put pressure on anyone doing work around the Elaine massacre, like films, people who wrote books, just anyone who made a profit, and was going to ask them to give 20% of their profit to the city of Elaine.
Right.
But it excluded, it excluded the organizations on the ground, anyone who currently lives in Elaine, and any nonprofits on the ground. So that would have meant that I don't live in Elaine, or didn't live in Elaine, or Charlie, or whomever, you being a descendant, you would have been asked to get 20% of your profit to the city of Elaine. And one of the biggest issues I think everyone had was we can't even get the city to it, and the city was in agreement with it. The city seemed to be in agreement with it, but yet and still we could not get them to be could not get them to even acknowledge the Elaine massacre, and that was
Right.
a big source of contention for me. So. Anyone have any comments on that? Y'all gonna have to talk. I'm not gonna talk by myself.
Yes, I remember the situation, and wasn't particularly sure what happened with it, but that was it was a interesting concept where someone would come in and try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, going back to what you're saying, Lisa, is that there has to be, involvement from people. It needs to be a collective decision, things like that, especially if you have, and the way I looked at it is that, there's a lot of people in Elaine and who have connections with Elaine that have, things to say and care about what's going on. But to have someone just randomly come up and, offer to do something like that, it really truly makes you wonder. And, that's where it left me at. And I still haven't figured out, I don't think we've figured out, just where that ended at and where it's at, and just the thinking behind that. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything nefarious, but it really truly makes you wonder what's going on. So, as I've seen things, I became aware of that. I've paid close attention to things, and we took a trip home and took a look for ourselves. So I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I would have, I'd wish the city council, when something like that affects so many people,
Mm-hmm.
I felt they could have said, well, let's ask the community. This is something that affects people's lives.
Yes.
That you let us put it out here to the community, to the descendants. And I feel like if we, and the reason I interjected so hard, and the reason I'm bringing this up, is because if we just let that go, and I tried to get a copy of it, I couldn't even get a copy of it. If we let this go and don't just kind of get it settled, and I tried to, kind of get it settled, and what's next? I keep saying what's next, and that's why,
Right.
our work and coming into the community and making sure that the communities understand that if you are not involved, if you do not go to the city council meetings, if you are not aware, and that's why they get sick of me, because I'm gonna put it out there to them and make sure they know. And even myself, when I'm getting ready to do anything, I want to put it to the community and say, hey, this is what I plan on doing, because it affects everyone. And you know, even the people who moved away, everything that happens in that community, it affects your mothers, your grandparents, your cousins, and everyone that lives there. So I want everyone to kind of be aware of that. Did anyone else have anything to say on that topic? And it hasn't been resolved, but I want to just make sure that everyone knows that is out there, that there was an attempt to get descendants like myself. If I wrote a book, and because I don't live in Elaine, I would have been required, or not required, I'm using the wrong word, I would have been asked to give 20% of any profits I made to the city of Elaine, and to the city that won't even acknowledge the Elaine massacre happened, but they were, seemed glad to do this.
So Lisa, just to be clear, you still have not attended a council meeting, or they still have not came to you with the information that you were seeking. So they still haven't gotten with you on that.
No.
Wow.
And I called the city attorney. I talked to her on 2 or 3 occasions, and I attempted to attend two city council meetings. Once I was just sitting there in Elaine, and in my car, it burnt in my brother's house, and one of the city council members called and told me it was canceled. So, so twice I attempted to go, but yeah. So that, I just want to put that out there for everyone. And a few people had questions and had asked me about it. So,
Hey, Lisa.
Lisa.
Yes.
I think Dr. Gibson has.
Well, what I want to know, is that something that could happen? Could that happen? Could they get that?
Anything can happen.
Okay.
I don't think it would have gone anywhere. A couple people told me, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. But to me, it was just, it was the audacity.
The idea of it.
Just the idea of it. If you would do that, if you would make descendants.
True. Very
give
true.
the city 20%. If it had been said, give 20, we're going to ask you if you give 10% goes into a fund to create scholarships for our seniors in Marble Elaine High School. I'd be like, good plan. I said, where can I sign up? But to give it to a city that won't even acknowledge you.
Yeah. Where everything happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I was offended, seriously offended. And I acted just like I was offended. And I'm still offended now because I can't get anyone to respond to me. Yes.
But Lisa, I know I'm not supposed to be interjecting because
no, you go right ahead.
I'm man in the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat yet.
Okay, that's fine.
However, but what I saw, or what I heard when you said that, is not only are they asking descendants to give portions of anything that they get from any kind of benefit that they get from publishing their stories, they're asking descendants of victims.
Exactly.
We were victimized at one point in our lives. Now we're being victimized again. You give money back to the city that victimized your forefathers or your relatives. And that's pretty rough.
That was pretty bold.
That's pretty bold.
Lisa.
Yes, sir.
Lisa, I actually have, I believe my children are actually on here as well.
Oh,
and I'm sure there's a lot of others that are not familiar with our story. I don't know if we gave a brief summary. I know some people probably didn't get a chance to go to the website and look through. So is it possible, so we can kind of put all this into context? Is it possible we can give a brief summary of what happened?
Do y'all want me to do that, or somebody else want to do that? Charlie?
You can do it, Lisa. You can do it.
Okay. Y'all gonna help me out tonight now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. For those who are not quite familiar with the Elaine race massacre of 1919. It began 102 years ago today on September 30th, 1919, in a little town, not a little town, but a little church, Hoopsburg Church, about 3 miles up. If anyone that knows my brother Vernon, just right from his house there, not far from Elaine, 3 miles up. The sharecroppers had been organizing. There was a organization called Progressive Household Farmers Union of America, and they were organizing to sue the landowners, the white landowners, for a fair share of their crops at harvest time and a fair accounting of their, y'all remember, I remember when we used to go to mail, we used to take things up at the store and they used to write it down. I remember things, but they wasn't even the prices on anything. No,
Right.
Remember? And so, we were, but they wanted a fair accounting because by the time they harvest and got to pay, harvest and went to pay up, they would owe the store owner more than they got back. So they were organizing, raising money to hire this attorney to sue. And they had been warned to stop organizing. And that night on September 30th, they were in the church meeting, and a car with approximately 5 people in it, deputies, law enforcement, and they started shooting into the church. I'm doing this a quick overview. Started shooting into the church, killing people inside the church, and people ran. One of the deputies was shot and killed, and they returned to Helena saying that there was an insurrection, gathered up a mob of KKK business owners, people from all over the state, and even some came in from Mississippi, and they started killing Black people in the town of Elaine and in the surrounding areas. Now, for my grandmother, and I don't see this a lot, but I know Mama told me that, I don't know if y'all remember Old Man Moody. We used to call him Old Man Moody, Mr. Moody, and he said that they fought them off, that they sent some young boy to Lambrook, because a lot of people in Lambrook didn't even know what had happened, sent for help out of Lambrook, and that the people in Lambrook came in wagons on horses, and they said that's why they charged them with night riding, because they came riding in to help the Black people that were in Elaine and Hooper in that area, and they fought them off. And that's when the mob went back to Helena, called the governor to bring troops, and the troops subsequently came in on the train with machine guns. And the next morning when they had come back, they burnt that church. They burnt Hoopsburg Church down. I left that part out. But so the soldiers from Camp Pike in North Little Rock here were called in, and the governor came himself, and they shot and killed upwards. I'm sure the number is upward of 800 Black men, women, and children were murdered, and more than 100 were jailed. And the Elaine 12 were in prison, and eventually set free by Scipio A. Jones. And that's a quick overview of the Elaine Massacre of 1919. And that story was kept very, very silent for almost 100 years. I've only known about it for 13 years myself.
And no one has came to justice for any of those murders, for this atrocity.
No, for the victims, no one's been charged or held accountable for those murders.
Thank you, Lisa. I know that was kind of painful.
And it's just, especially I started remembering stuff Mama told me. So, but I want to.
So your mom,
My grandmother.
she actually could.
No.
She was aware of some of.
She was aware of the stories. She was born the year that the Elaine 12 were free.
Yes.
So she was born the year they were free. So she was born in the 20s. So she was born the year they were free. So she grew up hearing about the stories and really learned a lot when she became an adult. Mm-hmm. And then learned a lot from Mr. Moody, Mr. Jack. I don't know if anybody remembers Mr. Jack Walton. Jack. Mm-hmm. No, he was mom and dad's neighbor. So
Mr. Bowroy.
Now, Mr. Jack was a survivor. He was in the church that night, and he jumped out the window. Wow. Mr. Jack.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So he was a survivor. He was in the church that night. So, yeah.
Mr. Bowroy, Mr. Shonuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was he would he would talk about it. And when you go to asking him questions about it, he would literally tell you that's enough now. Shut up, go
Oh,
on.
yep. They don't want
You
to talk
know,
about it.
104 years old, and he would just nobody. Mr. Bolroy would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They never held a conversation on it. You know, whenever I did learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
And that takes us right into transparency.
yeah,
Truth into transparency.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's I know part and parcel, that is pretty much a big part of history. When you look back, we look back at these things, Tulsa, here, us, even, during my lifetime, people don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be an ingrained or deep-rooted, deep-seated fear.
Yeah.
And you're fearful, but not necessarily sure that you're fearful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easier not to think about it, as opposed to talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be one of the biggest challenges, I think, as we go forward is, keeping it in people's minds and having people be open to talking about it and open to sharing the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you look at everything, and I tell you, I got an interesting concept on Elaine because, when you look back at it, I often wonder, did they not talk about it because they didn't want us to know, or did they not talk about it because, they were embarrassed and they knew that they were wrong in every sense of the word. But did you think we were never, ever going to find out? And that's the big question. I mean, what was the intent? We know you're hiding it, but who you're hiding it from? Would you think you're going to get away with it? And there's a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
And even to this day, there's nothing that acknowledges that you never hear anybody talk. Nobody wants to even talk about it.
Exactly.
And to me, the whole thing is surrounded around trauma, I believe, and it
Oh, yeah.
traumatized, all of us. We didn't even know it. We didn't even know, and to the
Right.
point where, whereas even my mom and just to talk about it and how null and numb they get when this conversation comes
That
about.
word is numb.
And
Yeah.
I have to wonder this a couple of weeks ago, I was wondering, I'm like, what would my life have been like if I had known this, when I was 10 years old?
Mm.
How differently would I have looked at the people around me, the town, the city, my classmates, my friend, just the place that we were in.
Yeah.
If we had known this when we were growing up there, how would we have, how would life be different? How would our thinking and our growing up be different? It's crazy when you think about it.
Yes.
But this was a big thing that we literally, it was hid from us, So,
And that was hurt done,
yeah.
And even kids, some of the children,
Damn
we've been working with the children right now, and you can see it. I mean, it's almost like a distant that you don't know what it is, but something just is not connected there. It's not coming together. And I believe, and when you go back and look, we had the same thing. We went through the same, and that's the reason I said trauma. There was some trauma there that we didn't that rolled over on us.
You talking about that thing you didn't know, you can feel it?
Yes.
And you didn't know what it was until you found out about the massacre?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen,
exactly.
I'd be in a cotton field, in the middle of the cotton field, chopping cotton. I'd stand there, I'd think to myself, how did I end up here?
How did you get there?
How did I end up in Elaine? Of
All
all the
of us
places,
chop beans and cotton, did all of us?
yeah, of all the places that we could have been, how did we end up there? So I've spent a considerable amount of time over the last year and a half during this pandemic researching and finding out. So I found out some things I'll share with you guys a little bit later in regards to how I think all of our ancestors ended up there, you know. So when you look at the Great Migration, you know, you have our ancestors are full-blooded Cherokee. When you look at the Great Migration, you look at all of the Native Americans, they were forced out of South Carolina, Alabama, slaves. They were forced to walk up through and go through Mississippi up toward Arkansas and they were going toward Oklahoma. And just after the Civil War, I'll tell you something else. You talk about Laconia, Knowlton, and Snow Lake, man, it's crazy. My mom telling me at Easter, she's trying to tell us these stories about Snow Lake, about all these houses, all these people, all this. Like Snow Lake was a big city. And I'm like, man, Mama, what's she talking about? I had went back and looked, man, listen, it was right down in that river, man. It was a thriving.
And we're not gonna stay on this long, but do you know why it was thriving? Did you learn why it was thriving?
Because the slave owners had went in there and bought up that land, and they had to bring slave.
Yeah, I'm talking about among the black people, why there was so many there and why it was on the river. I found well, it had something to do. It was something. It was.
No, go ahead, tell. Share.
No, the corn liquor, the bootlegging that they had down there. There was a lot of that. That was profitable. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were on the river. They were escaping the river, going back and forth, man. And it was a big hub down in that river. And after I'll end with this. Just after the Civil War, when they went into Helena, when the Union troops went into Helena, everybody started going to Helena. All the slaves went to the Union Army. They went to Helena from Snow Lake on up and down, and Mariana, whatever. Yeah. Then they didn't leave.
That's right.
That's where they went. You know, and plus, a lot of them couldn't leave when they liberated them because they didn't have anything.
That's right.
They put millions of slaves on the streets of this country with nothing. And conversely, they gave the slave owners compensation for losing their slaves. Come on, man. Don't get me started, man. Go ahead, Lisa.
There was a question, and I want us to go ahead and answer since we're on it. Someone asked, Mr. Whitfield asked, can each panelist tell how they first heard about what happened? I'll go. I first heard about the Elaine massacre, researching for a history class, and ran across the book Blood in Their Eyes, and went home and went home to Elaine, asked Mama, and that's how I found out about it. That's 13 years ago. Julian? Go ahead, Pastor Gideon.
Well, I first heard when the internet began to come into existence, and of course then the book Blood in Your Eyes, and their eyes, you know, that book, and of course, I mean, when we first began to get computers and been able to get online, you know, and that hadn't been a real long time ago. Yeah. You know, but
that's true.
I mean, how did we miss that? How did everybody, nobody voice that? You know, I'm 66 years old, and never.
Julian?
You know, what was so shocking to me, you know, when I was in the military, I learned about it. But what was so shocking to me was, you know, we lived here in this city. We lived in Elaine, Arkansas, and didn't know that such an atrocity had taken place in our city. The first time I learned about it was, actually, I was watching it was PBS.
Dang.
I think I was watching PBS, and they were talking about the massacres in Elaine, well, the massacres in America, and Elaine, Arkansas came up that way. But we've been hearing things about mass graves. You know, I used to kind of hear certain things about that in Elaine, Arkansas when I was in like high school. You know, I think we kind of heard about some stuff like that before, but you know, nobody really told us about it. Nobody really informed us or. And I think that right there is the biggest crime or the biggest problem, atrocity, is that we lived in Elaine, Arkansas, and didn't know. We were walking around on that soil, grew up.
And watching watching Roots. I remember listening closely at Roots when they mentioned about Elaine, and then I went to really kind of digging in, like what something must have really happened. And
Yeah.
then
Which Bruce was it? Which Bruce was it? The first one or the second one? Which-
yes, the first one.
Really?
I think it was it the first one, Julia? Was it the first one? I don't know. Was it the first one? Yeah.
I
And,
believe Rose
and
mentioned,
yeah, 'cause
I think it's mentioned in there as well, I believe. I remember
he
correctly.
said, they said those ends going crazy in Elaine, Arkansas, and another place in Tennessee, I believe it was. And I was like, what?
Dang.
And what? And I, that's when I went to cramming.
We have another question. Lisa, I saw another question.
Well, I didn't see any questions. Actually, I'm seeing comments. Someone on here is, they were encouraging you to go ahead with the story, but Takita was saying that.
You got to go in the Q&A and ask in the question. Those are the comments.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm in the wrong place. So they're in the Q&A.
Okay. I know there's one up there, Patricia. She asked, how would that money be designated to be spent if it happened? I think she was asking about the
Oh,
resolution.
Lord. Okay, so Patricia, yes, asking how would the money be designated if it happened? And she apparently is asking about the proposal that Dr. Olson put at the Elaine City Hall meeting.
As far as I remember, it would have been up to the city because the money would have went into the city account.
Well, let me interject. And I think the question is Easter. She's asking how that money is going to be appropriated, or how are they going to use it? The money that's given to Elaine. I think that is the question. Well, let me ask a better question.
Okay.
Does anybody think it's appropriate to be giving money to the city of Elaine, the perpetrator of the crime? And here's what I mean. If you go back and look at history, several things, and Lisa touched on it. The biggest thing, and it's like, okay, reparations, just whatever it is. Who's responsible? What happened? Well, here's what happened. So they're at a meeting. They start shooting. Word gets out, phone call, they call Helena. Helena called the governor.
Mm-hmm.
The governor called in the troops from Pikes, from Camp Pike.
Camp Pike.
They got on the train. The governor got on the train. Hear me, listen to me carefully. The governor of the state of Arkansas got on the train with the troops and rode down to Helena. Mm-hmm. The governor is the representative of the state. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have state, local, and federal government, right? So you have the governor who's going down to Helena and Elaine, and they sent these troops on down to Elaine. And the word is that the troops, the federal troops, were worse than the people, the posse, the people that came in from Mississippi and what have you. So you have, and I'll say another thing I want to say too is that you have the local official in Elaine who called Helena, that called Little Rock to get the governor. So there's a trail of perpetrators. The governor gonna get his butt on the train and drive down there with the troops. The troops gonna get off and get to Helena, and they're gonna get on down there and go down to Elaine and shoot up some people. So why should Elaine get anything?
So the point is, there's a state-sponsored massacre. So the state actually owes the reparations.
Exactly.
That's why it's been pushed under the carpet.
Exactly.
Probably nationwide, honestly.
Yeah. When you look at the governor, you look at the county government, county officials, and you look at the city officials. I understand, but there's we want to do things for Elaine, but do you think that, based upon the current city government, what are they trying to do to help themselves, or what are they trying to do to help the community? We're trying to do to help Black people down there now. Actually, help anybody for that matter. What are they doing?
Well, I know one thing that I wanted us to talk, and I'm announcing it here. I might have announced it to one or two of you in conversation, was that, if something were to, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that's one of the reasons why it is so important that we reclaim this work. We have to reclaim this work because
Right.
it's just imperative that, and it's urgent that we reclaim this work, because for someone to think that was okay, it's just baffling to me. And then
Right.
for an organization to give the Elaine Legacy Center, Dr. Mary Olson, $150,000 in reparations without consulting the community and asking input. And one of the things and it's not going to be a resolution, but it's one of the reasons why I wanted the town hall to be with all of the organizations included. And that's why I invited the mayor, all the city council people, the Elaine Legacy Center, and all of the board members. Every organization, every piece of city government, everyone was invited to this. First, they were invited to a true town hall in Elaine, and then
They on here.
and then they were invited to this town hall. But one of the things that I know that the descendants of Elaine Massacre are going to work, ask is that that $150,000, I think it's been allotted to build a museum. And it was $150,000 in reparations. And one of the things that I wanted to ask is to create my own resolution and present it and ask that once that museum if that $150,000 in reparations is used for that museum, once that museum is built, and if there is any retail coming out of that museum, that 20% of retail sales from that museum being built in Elaine goes to a fund to create scholarships for our seniors at Marvel Elaine High School until it equals, hear me now, until it equals $150,000, and then we'll be done. Because that money should have been allotted. If it says reparations, I just can't, and again, and I reached out to this organization. I keep reaching out to people and they won't respond. And y'all ought to see the letters. The letters are quite beautiful, nice and civil and respectful, just like Mama taught me to be, but people won't respond. But yeah, that is what I'm going to be officially asking, that once that museum is built, 20% of all those retail.
Okay, Lisa, so we got another question. Ed Whitfield was asking, can each panelist tell how they first heard about what happened?
Oh, we did.
We might have done that.
Yes.
So somebody's asking about the museum and when the building's gonna start.
I didn't tell.
Oh, who? Mr.
Charlie,
Yeah.
you didn't tell how
I'm
you
sorry.
heard about it. Okay.
I heard about it when I was about 33 years old, living in Los Angeles. My brother Jimmy, who does a lot of research, mentioned it to me, started telling me a story about something, and we were talking, and I wasn't halfway listening, and then he started telling me about the race massacre. So I didn't learn about it until I was in my mid 30s, living in Los Angeles. This was like the 90s, the early 1990s is when I found out about it. And I'd like to think that, I was in Elaine up until I was 18, 19 years old. That's where I was born. That's what I did, but we done nothing about it at all. Nothing. And I like to consider myself an intelligent cat and was up on what was going on in Elaine, but I had no clue, zero clue about any of it. And
Well, I heard about it from Jimmy in 2010 or 2011, right before he died.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I forgotten how old I was then, because I'm pretty much up in age now.
We were all adults.
I was in my 50s. Probably I was 50 when that happened.
Yeah,
So
we were all adults.
yeah.
There was another question.
So someone is wanting to know, where is the museum and when will they start building it?
The museum is going to be, there is one building remaining in Elaine that was there when the Elaine massacre happened. It is on the historical register, and Dr. Mary Olson purchased it, and she will be creating a museum, erecting a museum, what have you.
The Big Head Chinaman store on the corner.
On the corner. On the corner. So
It's at the corner. Let me
and the
just
museum will
interject.
go in there, and the date is undetermined.
It's on the corner of what, 44 and
44,
20?
right there in the corner.
44 in Maine.
44
Yeah,
Main.
40 for me. But if I were a gambling man, I would say, I put you like this. Everybody, I'm saying this right now. I bet you there will not be a museum within the next 5 years. I bet you, if ever. That particular site right there, if ever. I bet you. And I say that because I was there a couple of months ago, and I've seen it. I've seen it. And we own the property across the street, the Crumrod store. And Lisa, going back to the conversation we had, we started talking about this. There was an attempt to purchase some additional properties in the city. And I was wondering why the full court press on acquiring these other properties, because I don't believe that particular property they're looking at is the ideal property for a museum, if anything. And that's my take. That's my critique.
Okay, so where Ed Whitfield wants to know, where were the reparations from? So where'd she get the money from?
The reparations were from a organization called Funds for Reparations Now. Funds for Reparations Now, and it is out of Arizona. Funds for Reparations Now. If you look up, and I think that's the name, Funds for Reparations Now. It mentions it on their website. There were like 150,000. I think last I saw they had collected. It was in a newspaper here in Hell in the World, and the newspaper here. They've collected. They've already been given $100,000 of the reparations.
That was a private entity, correct?
Yes, it is a private entity, private organization.
So Claudia wants to know, what is the 75,000 GoFundMe money being used for?
There's the Elaine Legacy Center has a GoFund. Oh, I didn't know they had one for. Oh, was it 75? I thought it was 10,000. That I do not know. I'm not familiar with that one. Which one? Ask Claudia, which GoFundMe? Because we want to make sure it's not one that
Hey, Claudia, can you unmute her?
don't make me start.
Oh, Claudia, can you write in there
You have to ask because I don't want to start.
where it was from? You know, what
Which GoFundMe?
So Chandra is asking, who got in touch with the people, and was it someone white or black?
Well, this organization, as I understand, this organization is an organization that's operating now throughout the United States, and they're particularly focused on the concept of reparations nationwide. And somehow the particular people there in Elaine who have received the funds, I won't name, contacted these people, and for whatever reason, spoke with them about what they were doing and what they were trying to accomplish in the context of doing something in regards to the Elaine Race Massacre, making a museum. And this particular organization got together and awarded them a total amount of $150,000 in installments. But they were approached by the people that we're talking about, this other organization in Elaine, black, white, whatever they are. And these people, said that they were working on creating a museum and bringing some attention to Elaine Race Massacre. And these people gave them money under the quote unquote auspices of calling it reparations. Now you can look at that term reparations and just going to Lisa's point. Okay. Who do they pay reparations to? That's the first thing. Where is that? How did that come about? And that's the $10 million question. It's where, and the person who asked the question is a great question. Who did it? What they look like? and what did they say and how did they do it. But there, if you can go, you can read about it. There's an article, I think Lisa sent it to me, where this organization, this national organization, that's what they're doing now. You know, it's a big thing in different states and the Congress and what have you about reparations. And some places, for example, I think there's one in North Carolina. Some cities have awarded reparations to different descendants of slavery already. This is another one of those organizations that is paying out money. And if you research it and look around, there are several organizations that are doing these types of things. The issue with it is that there are a lot of descendants of the victims of Elaine massacre who, you know, are not benefiting or even hearing about this, even trying to do this, and you are using something that happened to our ancestors to profit from, you know. So and it's clandestine, you know. It's like nobody really knows, you know. You're not being transparent enough. So that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a question. Tandra has a follow-on question to that, and then I'll get to your question, Olivia, because that's a very good question. Let's take Tandra's first. Tandra's saying, so why didn't they give the money to their ancestors, Because the ancestors didn't apply for it, probably, but
Well,
why didn't they give the money to the
be more specific about the question. Who is they? And I mean, you got to be more specific.
Can you ask that
so
again?
I'm assuming she's asking, why didn't the people who paid reparations give the money to the ancestors as opposed to
To the descendants?
the other group, to the ancestors of the people that were victimized as opposed to
Okay.
the organization.
So Lisa, I want to back up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before I answer this question, you said something, and I was going to comment then, and I'll comment now. You said you made some, you gave out invitations.
Yes.
Trust me, they are here. And let me answer this question, if you understand what I'm saying. Trust me, you said you gave out invitations.
Mm-hmm.
They are here. Let me answer this question.
Okay.
And Easter, read that question again.
The question is, so why didn't they give the money to their ancestors?
That's a very good question, which we are trying to uncover.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're asking a question, Tandra, and you're being vague, that's a very vague question. I'm very specific in what I'm saying. And you would probably know better than any of us, because anything that we would tell you now would be speculating, and we'd be accusing people of something that we have no direct knowledge of. So the best thing that I can give you is your guess is as good as mine at this moment. You know, I have ideas about it, and going back to what actually happened, who got the money. We're not accusing anybody of anything. The answer is we don't know until you give us a better question. So I can't, you know, as much as, you know, we want to speculate about why they didn't, they just didn't. So, and we can't.
I don't think they're gonna go and give ancestors money if they don't apply for reparations. They're not gonna just walk up and say, "Hey, you need some reparations."
And we're talking about descendants, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're talking about descendants.
So the question is, basically, when she said ancestors, she's probably saying descendants of the victims of the massacre.
Okay.
Don't assume. Lisa, don't. We're not
That's
assuming.
a good point. That's a good point, Charlie. It's a good point.
And we're going back to what I said about Lisa giving out the invitations, and I'm just saying that if you follow me.
And that is, and I'll just piggyback on what you said, Charlie, and I'll answer that question as well. I called them and asked. I sent them an email. Then someone emailed me back and said they want to have a conversation with me. And I said, you just set the time and I'll be there. I said, I'm open to Zoom, phone, what have you. And they never responded back. And I was asking how, and my question was, you know, did you involve the community? Was there any community input? Or and that goes back to, we have to be visible. And that's why I'm working so hard to make sure our voice is like right here. People know we are here. We are here, you know. So I've asked that question and I did not get a response to my question.
Okay, so Claudia has a follow-on question. She asked about the $75,000 GoFundMe account, but she corrected that. She said it's $10,450.
Oh, is that the one where, I think that might be the one where I got on there and, well, I did the story that was being told on there for the GoFundMe was that the money would be used for, what was it, Julie?
For a gymnasium in Elaine, Arkansas.
Yeah, for a school in a gymnasium in Elaine.
So Claudia,
Go ahead, go ahead, Julian, go ahead.
We already have a gymnasium in Elaine, Arkansas.
Tell them how.
A 600-person gymnasium in Elaine, Arkansas. So I'm not sure what that was all about. You know, it actually sounds like fraud to me. But we have a nice facility, recently built, 1984. That's recently built for a school, as far as I'm concerned. And we have a nice gym. So I don't know what that was all about. That was a GoFundMe to build a gymnasium. And I believe after we were looking into it and doing research on it, I believe it was coming from Elaine, Arkansas, somewhere, some people in Elaine, I believe it was. And there was another person that was also connected to it as well. So
a lady from California.
Yes.
Yeah, she was the organizer of the GoFundMe, and I think she's from South Arkansas, and she lives in California, and she had the GoFundMe, and on there it said that the money would be used for a gym, for, you know, athletic gym facility, a school, all of this, and I'm like. And then my response, and I reached out to, every time I see these people, I reach out because this is what I say. If they have not been to Elaine, they do not know. I don't just go and say, hey, I say, you know, hi, can I speak with you, blah, blah, blah. And you might not be aware. And I did that. And I reached out. I said, you must not have been to the Elaine Legacy Center because you cannot get to the Elaine Legacy Center unless you pass by this big old gym, this big old school. There's no way you go this way or this way unless you go through Beanfield. You cannot get to so you have not been here. So how did you write all of this up for a need for a town you have not been in, you have not seen, you have not verified? And that is why, again, I will keep reiterating, we have got to reclaim this work around the Elaine massacre. We have got to be present. We have got to engage our community, and it's just imperative that we do.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a good case for getting unified on this.
Yeah, because we got one of the things I've learned this past year, like everybody else sitting at home, you know, during the pandemic, reading and researching and watching webinars, poverty is profitable.
Yeah.
Our pain is profitable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Our struggle has always been profitable. That's what they did. That's what was happening in 1919. Their struggle, their pain was profitable. So, you know, we keep repeating. I mean, history will repeat itself, and we have got to be more.
I want to.
Jay just mentioned. He just put a comment down. I read it there kind of quick.
Okay.
He put a comment. He didn't ask a question, but he put a comment about the GoFundMe for the repairs to the Elaine High School. Yeah, Jay, there is a GoFundMe for the Elaine High School. It's a different one. Lisa, do you have the information for that? I know we're going to post all these because we have.
Yeah, it is on the page. It is for $100,000, and everything is on there about the school, even pictures. And one of the things about this GoFundMe is it is wide open public. All of us are aware. And the reason why I felt it was important to do a GoFundMe, every cent, every dime that goes there, we all can track it. We see where, and then, yeah, we have a GoFundMe for $100,000 to rehab the former Elaine High School. I'll let Julian speak to, yeah. And that's, I'm the organizer of it, of the
And I
GoFundMe.
know we're gonna get to it.
I know we
still on
are
transparency
on
right now, and I
track.
know we're gonna get to it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we're gonna
Get
move.
to it.
All right, so let's
I
get
want to ask
to
everybody's questions. Go ahead.
Claudia's question, because she
Yeah.
she's a good question.
Okay.
Basically sums up this entire meeting. She said, can the panelists talk about what sort of investment or economic development, restorative justice, or reparations you would like to see for Elaine and Phillips County more broadly?
That's Olivia. Olivia Pascal asked that question.
Olivia, what did I say? Claudia?
Claudia.
Okay, Olivia.
I'm sorry, Olivia. I thought it was, oh yeah.
Can you ask it again?
Okay, this is Olivia, not Claudia. She says, can the panelists talk about what sort of investment / economic development / restorative justice and or reparations you would like to see for Elaine and Phillips County more broadly?
Anyone want to take it? I have an answer, but I want to hear everybody else. People have heard me.
I'll go.
Go.
What would you like to see?
Mhm.
I guess basically the question. I'll start by saying that my father's buried in Elaine, right behind church, First Baptist Church. My grandmother buried behind Morning Star Church. Number one, I would like to see the town revived in every sense of the word, so that number one, the final resting place of my ancestors is not forgotten. My sister and I, we've invested in a property there on Main Street, and we have some ideas about what we want to do in terms of how we're going to use that to investment to bring some type of business or job creation there, to the area. And in terms of reparations, I think that I would like to see, number one, the event acknowledged by the powers that be.
Mhm.
And I would like, and when you go back and you look at Elaine, and this goes all the way back to our childhoods, where, in 1970s, based upon what they were doing back then in the history, we shouldn't have been chopping cotton. If they had done the right thing, that area would be, so much better. Now, it was always going to be a challenge because of the Delta and the floods and the different things going on, but you can work around that. So I would honestly like to see the money that's been given to other areas, other places, the grants and what have you. I like to see that type of money given to to Elaine, that area, to fix the roads. And I'll go a little further, fix the roads, and number one, cut the grass, fix the roads. There's so many different things that you can do. And I was just down there a few months ago. Cut the grass, number one, fix the roads, provide something for the children there so they can, have a place to go to, a place where people can go and eat, something that creates jobs, integrate the town. You still, you still go and you're driving down Main Street, you look to your left, look to the right, look to the left, that's the white side, look to the right, that's the black side. That's about as old as that's slavery. And you go back and I tell you this, I found out that town was designed like that. I think Elaine was it I forgot the year it was, 1906. Whatever year Elaine was incorporated. When they drew up the plans for the city, the quarters is called the quarters for a reason.
It was the town is called the quarters.
Exactly. It was the plans for that city were drawn up like that. They drew up the plans where the white side of town is going to be over here and the black people are going to be over here, keeping slaves over here. This is what it is. So all of this stuff needs to be, you know, brought to the forefront and dealt with. The issue is that some people do not want to deal with it, and you have people that have been there all their lives that own the land and the property around there that don't want their cart disturbed. So there's going to have to be a disturbing of their carts, pushing over their carts in order to get where we need to get to. Going back to Lisa's point about the resolution to give the money to the city of Elaine. So I'd like to see, the water tower painted. Keep the grass. Just get somebody to cut the grass around. Keep the grass cut.
Yeah,
just
aesthetic. It boggles. Just imagine what our kids, my cousins, our families see in Elaine.
Yeah.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
One of the things that has sort of bothered me, after I realized the history of the place, is that I don't know that there's a real accounting of our history. There's such things as, for instance, that old Elaine Industrial School. I attended school there.
Yeah.
I know, George, you Pastor attended school.
Yeah.
You were, yeah. So there needs to be, I just can't believe that it's dilapidated now and just never was built. That always bothers me. I want a marker or something there.
Yeah.
There was an old place where, how we used to hang under the tree.
Yeah.
There near the church, near First Baptist.
In the church. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And then there's a Christian Stone Church. There's First Baptist. I don't know how old those churches are. I don't know if anybody there's a Morning Star. I don't know if anybody has really collected the history of those places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great point, Easter.
We need a historian. We don't want to lose that. And I mean, it wasn't important before, but now with all this, I think it's important to know how that came about, who founded those places, when was it done?
Yeah.
How important is it to us? And I mean, I know all of us, people that I talk to that I grew up with, we talk about the memories of stuff like that we used to do. And the places,
right.
And all those places are really important to us.
And to finish up the last part of that question, what would you like to see for Elaine and Phillips County more broadly? You know that there are funds that they're giving to the city of Helena to help with the harbor. They are putting money in places in Arkansas. The thing with it, I'm gonna tell you something though too. I've got a guy that I went to UCA with, but I went with a couple years behind me with school with my brother Jimmy. He's the mayor of a place called Pangburn now. He's my friend on Facebook. Mike, I can't think of Mike's name now. But anyway, this guy has gotten so many grants to help the city. It seemed like for a while, every month he was getting a grant for radios, for trucks, for city vehicles, for food, different money coming from the state.
Yeah.
So what that tells me is that ain't nobody doing that in Elaine. I mean, what's the mayor? Who is the mayor? What's he doing? Why is he not trying to do something for the city? I mean, what's he done for the city?
That's right.
And I'm seeing this, there's things that you can apply for. There's money out there, but if there's nobody there to do it, and it goes back to the question, I think the question all of us have had, me and Easter have asked this question hundreds of times. And the question is, why do these people that are there do not want to make the place better? Yeah. I mean, you live there all your life. What are you doing?
And that goes back to where what the whole problem has been all the time. And that is to the acknowledgement. First of all, before anything, you're gonna have to acknowledge that this happened.
Confess.
There are no markers, no plaques, no boards, no signs or anything stating that this happened here.
Right.
And that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
That
Number
we-
one.
I think that,
Yeah.
I believe there is a marker
Let me-
in Elaine, Arkansas. I think it's one marker downtown, from what I understand.
Well, they have a, you know, there's a couple of things, you know, but there's nothing that gives I mean, there's that little thing they have over there off of 44 Main Street. There's something over there.
on the railroad,
Mhm.
where the railroad track used to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean-
Exactly. But there are historical places around town. You know, I used to talk about this was the Elaine Industrial School. This was Elaine
Yeah.
High School. This was First Baptist Church. This was
Yeah.
Morning Star. This was, it's like, and
It's
we,
just
that's something,
on.
yeah, exactly. That's some things that we had talked about. This, maybe it could be a project that we can
Mhm.
work on as collectively as a group.
Yeah.
Or
to-
even at exactly where Hoopsburg Church was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't know where that
Exactly.
was. It's not even.
That's important. That's
know?
important.
Yeah.
And
That's important.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about when they were talking about putting that monument in Helena. That's fine. And then if that's what they want to do, but I think it's up. We should take it upon ourselves to start documenting and commemorating and marking these places of where these places are before it's lost to history and our
And-
children.
And in
And they-
actuality, there were other places. I you know, listening at the radio and seeing on TV that they acknowledge, you know, massacres. It's just a simple thing. Acknowledge, but you
acknowledge it.
never hear them mention Elaine.
Mhm.
I
And
think
this
that
is
would
one of
heal
the
a
wor-
lot.
one
I
of
think
the
that would
worst
heal a lot. That would
Yeah.
heal a lot.
But you know, Pastor, one of the other big broader things that I want to see, I might be dreaming too much, but
Let's dream.
to see them find those mass graves.
They're there.
They're there.
They're there.
They are
I mean,
there.
that's overwhelming, but I just,
And technology now, you know, it shouldn't be that hard to find, actually.
Really not that overwhelming.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
But so look on the bright side of this, there is some work being done in Elaine, Arkansas. So we want to make sure that we kind of highlight some of the things that are being done in the city. You know, not completely lost. You got some people that are on the ground doing work.
Yeah.
And this new initiative here with Alicia here, that with the descendants, this is something that we can add to this. You know, this is going to give some meat to the other programs that we already have in Elaine, Arkansas. You know, there's Echoes there. Dr. Gibson has the Lee Street Center. I think Patricia's on here with us as well. Ms. Kenzie, she's I think she was instrumental in getting that off the ground as well, and Sister Aura Escape. So there's a lot of work that's being done in the city. So to accommodate the city. Now, the Elaine High School. Elaine High School is the best facility that's in Elaine, Arkansas. Got to say that, and it can be very instrumental in all of the things that we're getting ready to do. It could be that community hub, that central place for a lot of the work that we're talking about right now. You know, for community events, a lot of this historical thing. As a matter of fact, that's what we're going to have this program that we're having right now. Was going to be
We're gonna have it at the high school. Mhm.
Elaine High School. So we have Echoes, the Elaine community opportunity seekers. They're doing a lot of work with the children in Elaine, and they operate out of the Elaine High School. And they're very busy. Miss Williams, Candace, and Miss Honora Williams. They're very busy with that program. And some more people from Elaine that are with the Echoes program as well. I'll let Pastor Dr. Gibson talk about the Lee Street Community Center and the work that they're doing with the children. This is all about the kids.
Thank
That's
you,
what it's
Miss
all
Pat.
about.
Hey, Miss Pat.
Yeah, for real.
She's really, and you know, a lot of people don't know that Elaine is the birdhouse capital of the world. I'm not going to take that from Dr. Gibson. Let him talk about that. But that's a lot of things that are being done, and this is an opportunity for us to educate our children, because you know, even if we're not even here anymore, our kids will probably be the ones that's going to carry this right here through that we're talking about right now, just like we're doing it for our parents and our grandparents. So teach the children.
Yes, yes. I mean, when you drive up, you know, at the community center, you can have as many as 50 kids to show up, just showing up, looking for something to do, looking for what can, I mean, it's overwhelming. You don't have people to do the work, you know, but the thing of it is, and this is something that we started some 6-7 years ago. We commemorated the Turning Point Park in downtown Elaine to represent the work that the attorney did. Lisa, help me. Scipio Jones.
Elaine Jones, yes.
Yes, and
Recognized at the
and
park.
to bring that to acknowledgement. But these are the kind of things that we have to have. We gotta do. We gotta get on the ground. Let the rubber hit the road and begin to put it out there. You know, I like that, Lisa, and how you know even on the radio to be talking the other day. That you know what that somebody, when we talk, then other people will begin to talk.
Yeah.
And so and that's where I think that we need to get going right there. So that's what we started doing, having kids building these birdhouses and coming together and watching the kids. When they walked up to you, you could tell that something just wasn't right.
Mhm.
And I used to watch the kids, but then I got to watching myself. I said the same thing these kids are going through, or wherever they are now. That was me. I was there.
That's transgenerational, yes.
Yes.
Just
And
get
so
transferred from one generation to the next, one
That's
generation to the next.
And that's
We
what
have
has
to
happened.
Stop that.
and
Yes.
and it's still happening right now, right to this day. That's why we're talking about, $150,000 and all this, and it's not being talked about. These are some of the same kind of feelings that we've gone through already.
Yeah.
And so I think we just need to get just stick a mark in the ground, stick a stick in the ground and mark where we are right now and start to move forward. Let it be known. Don't let it move. Don't let anybody move it.
So Tandra's asking, were people aware that they could apply for money?
Yes.
You know what?
A lot. But
To be honest with you,
oh, go ahead.
this area, and I'm gonna just say this area, and you don't really have to be a fancy grant writer. This area is eligible for whatever is out there. It's eligible.
And one of the things we have to remember, some of those grants, and there are a lot of them out there, sometimes you have to include the city, the city government, the city council, the mayor. They have to partner with some of those grants, and you have to have. And I've called and reached out and talked about grants. Well, get your, the mayor, the municipality to do this, and I'm like, okay. I can't even get them to return my phone call. So you want me to take a whole grant up in there?
So why don't we have a memorial like they have in Helena down in Elaine, in the Elaine area?
Oh, do we want to go here? Here? Everybody wants to go here.
We don't have to. We don't have to.
Well, we're here to tell the truth. I know we done got all off our topics, but when the memorial in Helena money was being raised and it was being built, it was being talked about long before 2019 to commemorate the 100-year anniversary. The committee did reach out, and y'all know I'm gonna name names. Charlie, I know you don't want to, but I don't. Hey, I have nothing to lose. My people hurting. There's this committee reached out to the Elaine Legacy Center and Dr. Mary Olson to do something. Maybe not as big as what they had in Helena, but to help the community put a memorial in Elaine. And that went sideways because Dr. Olson had demands that they refused to meet.
What?
So I said, what?
Would you
Yeah.
say yeah?
I said, the committee, the very committee that raised the funds and put the memorial in Helena were trying to work with the city of, work with the Elaine Legacy Center with Dr. Mary Olson to do something to help put something in Elaine. And that went sideways because Dr. Olson had financial demands that they refused to meet. And I'm glad they refused to meet them.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
So
wasn't aware of that.
that's why, and then the other reason is because we have not worked together to put a memorial in Elaine.
Right. More than anything.
More than anything.
All right,
I always
so-
remember, I always go in my head and try to remember, that's what a part of the narrative of the Elaine massacre. I'm gonna, do my best to work hard so that the younger generation, Lord, we talking younger generation, understands is that part of the work that they were doing, the brilliance of their organizing, their motto was "in union is strength." That was their motto, and they were working together, build together, and we have that transgeneration, that trauma in us, but we also have that blood in us as well, that we can come together and get some of the things, make some of the things that we know should be in Elaine, make some of those things happen. So, and a memorial is one of those things. I mean, I know we'll need help, but I think the bulk of the work and the beginning of that work should start with us.
So Aura had a couple of questions and I don't see them anymore. Can anybody see Aura's questions anymore? She was asking, I don't even know where they are now.
For your question, I don't see them, Aura.
Where does the healing begin in each of your opinions? And what does the healing process consist of?
Oh, okay.
And I'll go with the because that'll take us to some of this because it's 7:30. And the reason I'm a big fan of this in this work, and this comes from my dear friend and mentor Sheila L. Walker, who we lost earlier this year, who God brought into my life, and there was that season that she was what I needed. And I remember when I first talked to her about even creating the Descendants of the Elaine Massacre, and I reached out to her and said, I want you to be involved. And she said, only if you will include reconciliation in your work. And I hadn't even thought about it. I'm still trying to grapple with everything that's happening. And, my grandmother had just passed, so I'm just able to get out and start doing this work. And thank God that she did. So I know a part of that healing is going to begin with reconciliation. And I often think about the perpetrators' descendants. I think about them, what they think, what they feel, and I know it's probably none to nail that any of them will just boldly come forward, like Chester Johnson, the one he and Miss Sheila, wrote the book Damaged Heritage. But reconciliation, just trying to work on some of the racial healing that needs to happen. And I know that, and that part of that reconciliation even begins with them even acknowledging that this massacre happened, to our ancestors. So I'm hoping, for me, I'm going to take the lead from Ms. Sheila and Mr. Johnson on reconciliation. And when I say do this work, I want everyone, Black, white, Hispanic, whomever, to come in and, not just in Elaine, but in Phillips County. So in Phillips County as a whole. So I've already started reaching out to people in Helena. You have Pastor Cannon, who brings his young youth down to Elaine to work with our youth, so they'll know each other. So when they see each other in the streets, they're not fighting each other. They're working together, picking paper. They start basketball and all of those good things. But I know a lot of that healing still needs to happen. But that's my take on the healing. Hope I answered that.
Well, yeah, that's remarkable. Let me ask a rhetorical question. The person asking the question, what is healing? As far as I'm concerned, I'll be 60 years old in 19 days. What do I need to heal from? I left Elaine a long time ago. And let me be clear, and not necessarily devil's advocate. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you what's really, really, really important here. You have to remember that there's evil in this world. It comes in various colors, shapes, and sizes. And until the good Lord come back and have that Armageddon battle, we're all going to fight. And I'll give you a perfect example. And I'll name names. We're going along minding our business. All of a sudden, Mary Olson comes up and she's down there running her little deal. Well, I mean, do you think we were not going to do something? Is that good? Is that evil? I try to be a good person. We want to be a good person.
She was counting on it.
Exactly.
She was counting on it.
Exactly. So when you talk, who's trying to heal? What you healing from? What we healing from? You talk about racial healing. Well, here's the thing, and we can use Elaine as an example. Do you see anybody on any of them farm down in Elaine trying to come up and tell you, oh, listen, come in the course talking about, come on, let me give you something. Let's heal. Let me get you better. We're the ones that are fighting, and our ancestors have been fighting 100 years ago. And let me be clear. Here's what's going on, whether you don't know. Black people, ever since our ancestors, all we have tried to do with progressive farmers is try to be better. We tried to better ourselves. They're trying to do it now. When you look at the Democrats now, black people are just trying to be better. Every time we bring ourselves up, they want to tear us down. So what does healing look like to you? How do you heal from that? How do I heal from that? The first thing for me is I do not sit around and feel sorry for myself. You know, I was raised in Elaine at First Baptist Church. And God is my witness. Yeah, I'm going to be okay. I believe in the power of God. Now, if somebody wants to continue to be evil, they can continue to be evil. But I'm going to be a good person. But going back to this, and let me say this, we got to remember, there was a black man that snitched.
Yes.
And that's how the Elaine massacre got started. And I'll give you a modern day example. Now the governor of Florida, he done went and hired a black man to be our attorney general. This guy gets up in here talking about he don't want no mask. Black man. Killing. The same thing. These people got a black man to go there to snitch at the people who are going on to church, end up killing 1,000 black folks. I mean, when you talk about healing, okay, what does it consist of? It consists of people not being evil, okay? We are not responsible for the other people there, the Mary Olsons, the people that are trying to do these things. What we're responsible for is our reaction to it and doing what we're doing, which Lisa has us doing, which is trying to be proactive and do something for ourselves. Again, 102 years later, we still trying to do something for ourselves. So when you talk about, listen, in the context of healing, you know, personal healing, I'm fine. Racial healing, there's a lot of people got to deal with it. A lot of people in Elaine got to deal with why they don't want nothing to happen in Elaine, why they want black folks to have nothing in Elaine, okay? But I don't sit around, and what we're saying is that we're not going to sit around and beg people to give us what we've earned or what we feel we have or what we feel we deserve. We're going to be proactive, and we're going to do something about it. Now, if people want to, you know, and everybody's been saying that, you know, this is not the only time I heard that. Racial healing. Let me be clear. There are not, you know, until Armageddon, we will be fighting. You know, looking from a spiritual level. Again, evil comes in many different shapes, colors, and sizes. There's evil. And we are in a time right now where Satan knows he don't have long. So we're going to be bombarded with evil. Now, I'm 60 years old. I wasn't there when that happened. And I didn't learn about it until I was 30 years old. Am I angry? No. I have nothing to be angry about. I've, had a life hasn't always been good, but I've had a good life. I'm happy. So, if there is going to be healing, there has to be a meeting in the middle. And I'll give you, here's the first place to start healing. Respond to Lisa's request for basic information. Okay, we're trying to start, but we're not getting any, we can't heal by ourselves. We're okay. But if they don't meet us halfway, we can't do anything.
That's true.
And it goes back to this. And the first thing is saying, evil. You have to remember, and let me take it to a step further, something I've learned. I don't know if I'm telling Lisa this, and we can give it today. If you take the names off the faces, if you took the name off of Trump to speak, and you look at the man's actions, take the name off every Democrat, every Republican, every black person, every white person, every human being. You take the names off of them, and you look at their behavior. Is that evil behavior, or is that good behavior? Okay, and we want to err on the side of goodness. Yeah. And this is what we're trying to do. Lisa's trying to get us all together so we don't forget our ancestors, leave our ancestors back. But I don't think there's nothing that I need to heal from. Personally, at 60 years old, nobody did anything to me and Elaine that made me feel like I need to heal from anything. But there's a lot of white people need to heal because they don't want to acknowledge what they've done. They don't want to acknowledge that they've killed our ancestors, that they keep trying to hold black people back. They don't want to do that. So they need to heal. I don't need to heal. I'm okay with who I am, what I'm doing, and I'm going to be okay. I believe in Almighty God. So just remember that there's evil, and I'll go back to my point I was making. If you go back and look at that book, Elaine Massacre, it's got a book. Listen, these people, white people, were not willing to kill, only willing to kill slaves. They were willing to kill abolitionists and the slave sympathizers, as evidenced by the freedom rides. When all the white people from the North, they would listen. I don't care if you white. I'm killing you too. You're trying to help them slaves. They don't care. They were not trying to just kill black people. They were trying to kill, just like now, the Republic. They're trying to kill everybody that get in their way. They don't care what you look like. You helping that slave. Go back and look in the book. It'll tell you. So it's evil. It's not white. Take the white and the black out of it. Just look at it as evil. Humans are innately you're born into sin, and there is evil. People are evil. Black on black crime. I can speak about my personal experience. Black on black crime. Right? Okay? And you have white people killing black people. That white person will kill, like right now. A big thing here going on in Florida with the corona. This man trying to kill all the black folks, he gonna kill all of his Republican voters. Right? They don't mind killing a few of their own if they're gonna get what they need. So
okay, Tandra corrected. She said it's not a question, it's a statement. I used to go to Elaine. It sounded like she used to visit Elaine and spend the night at her grandmother's house. And she said she used to ask her aunt, why is it so segregated down there? And she said the white people have the nice houses and the black people stayed in shacks.
It goes back to my point.
Basically, she wasn't asking a question. She said she just had.
It's just two different people. That's two different people. What? Tandra Ross and Orwa Scaife.
Oh, okay. See, that's why I'm 61 years old. Everybody.
Where your glasses at, man?
Yeah, but we still. Charlie, we still need to.
I'm sorry, Orwa.
Does anybody else have a response to the question about healing, or want to just talk?
Yeah, please.
Touch on healing.
Chime in on that.
Well, thank you.
Showing my age.
Because I plan on healing and helping anybody that want to heal. Yeah. I need some healing.
Yeah.
It was evident when 2016 when we did 2017 when when we did our class reunion, you know,
Uh-huh.
we had people, we had all kinds of people that showed up for it. I think
That's what we
that
need.
healing is going to be a part. I think inclusion is going to be a part of healing.
Yes.
And it's pretty evident with that anyway, with Miss Walker and Miss
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. You know,
Yeah.
they don't have to be some inclusion. I, as much as I can appreciate a lot of that what Charlie said right there, I believe that knowledge,
Mhm.
that's going to be,
Right.
you know, it's just that simple. We got to we have to get the word out. The word, because we didn't know about it. You didn't know about it until you were 30, Charlie. I don't think I knew about it until I was around 30 as well. So
Great point.
getting this word out. This is going to be some healing. Our children know, and even some of us, you know, a lot of us know, because a lot of us still don't even know, you know, what really happened and how it went down. Getting it to be recognized, something that Easter, I think you brought that up, or one of our, I think Easter, you were talking about a historian.
Yeah.
Why isn't this in Arkansas history? My brother Michael, he took Arkansas history when he was going to the University of Arkansas.
I did too.
Did you read that in Arkansas history?
Yeah, but I didn't see it in my history book.
It wasn't in your history book. And it's not,
Okay. I took the class in 2014, I think.
That's a great point. Drew, that's an excellent point, man. It really honestly is. I forgot that, but that's about to hit the nail on the head, man. Knowledge. You know,
Getting it in the
knowing
history
about
book, one thing, huh?
Yeah.
Let Julia finish. Go ahead.
and getting some recognition on this. We start
Right.
teaching our children about this right here. You
Right.
know,
Right.
because they're going to carry on this work. You're 60.
Yeah.
You're 61. I'm coming in there somewhere. And,
You don't know how old you are.
yes, I do.
You don't know. You got no idea how old you are.
I'm 56. I'm 56 years old. But changing this culture, you know, there's some people, and this was in our agenda here. There were some people that don't even trust this in Elaine, Arkansas. And I'm not just talking about the perpetrators or the descendants of the perpetrators. You know, there's some people that are just walking around here don't even trust it.
Yeah.
And they're not getting involved. And so getting involved, I see the work that Lisa comes down. Lisa's doing some excellent work, and she has some excellent partners with her as well. So getting this word out, getting some acknowledgement, you know, I believe in persistence overcomes resistance. Getting some knowledge, getting some knowledge from the state or through an historian like you were mentioning, Easter. That might be something that we need to be looking at.
It's a two-way street.
I'm thinking of, well, I'm considering, I wanted to talk with y'all about it. It was kind of on here, on the notes, and talking about history. I'm reaching out to an organization because I feel that Main Street, because you have pictures of the governor standing there talking to the mob or the crowd or whoever right there on Main Street. We have pictures of Main Street.
Yeah.
Where, and I think in one ditch where they were burning the bodies. I can't tell. I see the railroad track. Yeah, well, you see, I have to show you the picture. But right there where that track is, and of course we have the pictures where the store is on the corner. That same store is still sitting there. I believe, and I'm going to work hard, I'm just going to work on it, that the whole Main Street in Elaine should be designated a historical site.
Okay.
That downtown Elaine should be designated from the railroad track, where the railroad track is. There's so much happened on that railroad track. And that all the way down.
You know what? That's a great idea, Lisa. That's a great idea.
Historical site. And somebody mentioned economic development and there's so much. And each of you talking about dreaming big. I dream big. I go up to the moon. I just tell you, come on.
But I didn't want to scare everybody. I don't want to scare everybody, but yeah. I have.
You know what? It's time to be scared. It's time to dream big and be scared and just.
Yeah, I have bold ideas.
Yeah, bold and be bold with it. But
you know, but you saying that, Lisa, I need to talk to you further because
we're gonna talk further about it.
Before my grandmother died, she died, I think, in 2012, but she was 96 years old. When she was 92 or 93, somewhere in there, she decided to try to talk to me about Elaine in that corner on Main.
Mhm. Yeah.
She was talking about all the blood that's been shed there.
Yep.
And I didn't really understand what she's talking about. She said they killed so many people, and she just kept talking about that. I still didn't connect it
Mr. Moody said that's where they drug all the
until
bodies.
just now, just this minute.
They drug all
when you
the
said
bodies
that.
and were loading them on the train. All of that happened right there. See, that is not in the book. But all of our, yours, mine, Mr. all of these people know these stories. And, you know, and that's another reason why I'm not even gonna harp on that again about their resolution. It is, yeah, I'm bothered. But I can't get over it. I gotta get past that. That's my healing I got to do, Charlie. I got to heal from that. But yeah, and Julian, I'm gonna get through some of these topics. Julian talks about trust. And Elaine does, and that is part of what, you know, Pastor Gibson was talking about, that feeling. And I remember, in the think back now, so many, especially our elders, there was this sense of distrust. I tell people, I said, sometimes, you know, after I left home and stayed gone a while, I would come back home and Mama would send me over to somebody's house and send me somewhere, and people would be looking at me like, who are you? I said, oh, I'm Miss Hicks, Miss Birdie Hicks' granddaughter. Oh, okay. If you didn't know somebody in that town, if you didn't know somebody in Elaine, you can give it up and go back and get whoever, you better know somebody and bring them back to that house.
Right.
So there's already this sense of mistrust there. And then I've had people who visited Elaine say they felt it. They have seen that people, you know, and I said, I mean, what do you expect? And that's why it's so important that our partners, that people who want to work with us come, you know, we had like Delta Common come, and I like the way they did that when they wanted to talk with us about the high school and about other things, about helping us. They came to town, gracious, visited, and just, you know, want to immerse themselves in the community so people will get to know them.
Right.
That's how, and UAMS, I think I wrote that somewhere on my Facebook page, that UAMS, when I reached out to them, to UAMS, their whole attitude, their whole aura, the whole energy was, how can we help you all? How can we help you all? Let us know. How can we help?
Yeah.
Building that trust is important. You know, even Miss Pat, you know, Miss Pat and I had some kind of conversation. I said, Miss Pat, you know what? You better not say that. You know, just talking.
Yeah, going back.
But,
Right.
Yeah, but she listened, and she worked, and then she's letting the people in the community be in those leadership roles. You know, she's letting people in the community be in those leadership roles, and that is important. And I'm just going down through some of the topics so we don't run too long. But I think we
Ed had a question too.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
That's on the theme.
Ed had a question. He wanted to know if the historic district will go from the railroad to the Dollar General.
To the doc, probably. I don't know if that church was there. I don't know. I don't know. I know the Comrade store, Wade's Grocer. Yeah, I'm not sure where to end, because there's 2 blocks to the Dollar General, isn't it? When you get right there, the police station, then the church, and then there's Dollar General on the other side. Am I missing? Okay, so I'm not sure. I would, hey, whatever they give, if they give us a,
I don't even know that.
yeah.
I can say, I can count for 60 something years of it, but that's it.
Yeah. Okay. And we touched on healing and
unity. The unity aspect is what you're saying. I think, well, all of us need to get together and get meet more frequently and get our heads together and come up with a plan and start acting, you know, because Easter and I, we have that property and we're trying to figure out what we want to do. And I know you got, the gym and different things. So we need to go take it upon ourselves and move forward. I think the first thing would be, my thing is to clean up the quarters. You know, take what we're near and dear to us, and number one, have somebody cut the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but in terms of unity, and I think that'll bring people together. People see us invested in it and doing good things.
And that's why I'm moving back home. That's why I'm moving back to Elaine.
I ain't
I
saying all
have
that.
to be there. Yeah, I
Listen,
have
I ain't saying all that, but
You coming back too, Charlie? You come back?
I'll be coming more frequently.
Yeah.
You know,
And
yeah.
and
But
I,
yes, that's
well, you gonna come and help make it a place you'll look forward to coming home to.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's it. You know, we want to, there's a, you know, there's people that whether we love that,
Yes.
you know, we want to give a chance to get out and experience life and do things. And if we can be leaders
Mhm.
and put our money where our mouth is and they see us doing things, people will jump on board.
Yes.
They can just deny good for so long. But if we're doing good things, we're unified, and we're always open to help and open to listening to other points of view.
Mhm.
And I think that, you know, we're being positive, taking the lead and doing things that other people jump on board.
Yes.
And we'll unify.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I decided that I can't, be on Facebook and be all at the Capitol, on
Yeah.
social media. People need to see me on the ground getting dirty. So
Thank you, Lisa. I just want to thank you
So
publicly.
So do I.
Publicly,
So do
thank
I.
you and acknowledge you for doing all the work that you've done. You know, it's been amazing.
Yes.
The willingness to move back. And I
Yes.
cannot, just say enough about your commitment to making sure that that Elaine is revitalized, and I'm here to help you.
I know you all are. And that's what keeps me moving. When I get overwhelmed and tired, I said, my people got me. I'm not worried about a thing. So
I hear you,
Amen.
Jay. I just saw Jay's comment. That's a great comment. You know,
Yeah.
people
What'd he
would have
say?
the wherewithal. That there are plenty of people able and willing to assist that just don't have the wherewithal to initiate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell people how they can get involved, Lisa.
Lead the effort.
Oh yeah. I mean, how can you get involved? Oh, it's so much. We're gonna be.
And
working
Lisa,
on. I'm gonna start with our young people. That's the first thing I asked the young lady there. First thing I did was I asked some teenagers. I had some kids at the high school. I went there for a ball game, and some of them came in the cafeteria at the school. And I said, has anyone ever asked y'all in a group here at Elaine about anything in Elaine, anything in the community? Has anyone ever asked you your opinion of what you would like to see at Elaine? They're like, and this was the reaction. No, we don't ask our young people for input. We should have a leadership academy in Elaine connected to the Marva Elaine High School and let them come with us, with me, whomever, to city council meetings. When I get there, my nonprofit, those who want to learn how a nonprofit runs, that it takes first. We've got to set that example. So I want to really, and Aura is there working with some young people. I'm gonna have to follow Aura's lead. They love Aura down there. So
Yeah.
if Aura my friend, or you remain my friend, they'll be my friend. So I want to start with the young people down there and just collaborate. And I'm gonna say this, y'all, and it seems I am going to continue to try to reach out and work with the Elaine Legacy Center. And this is why. Because we have friends and people we have been raised with and known all our lives that work with that organization.
Mm-hmm.
Our elders are on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I have tried each and every way I could. And I'll continue to say I am open. One thing I will not do, I will not go down to the Elaine Legacy Center and sit and have a meeting with Dr. Olson or anyone there. I asked if it, could be in a public place and we all meet and talk. But I'm still, we have, that's the unity part. We can't do this work if we don't work together. Of course, Lee Street Community Center, Echoes, Elaine alumni, all of us, we're cohesive, working together. Everybody do a little part here, a little part there. But I hope and pray that all of the organizations, including Elaine Legacy Center, would join forces with us with respect and understanding that I personally feel that the descendants should be leading that work around.
Can I round this up with a couple of comments that I found in the chat? So I don't know, I can't really see the name for some reason. Maybe I need to open this up a little bit more. The person that commented, it was really good comment, I thought. I wanted to highlight it for everybody to look at.
And I want to make sure we answer all questions.
It wasn't a question, it was a comment, very good comment that she said, I think it was a she because it starts with AUDR. That's as much as I can see of the name. You missed the massacre because it was deliberately concealed in 2003 when Dr. Sybil Hampton, a Black woman, the executive director of the Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation, she created, hold on, I'm sorry. Anyway, she created a curriculum and videos about the massacre. Information was provided to every public school in Arkansas. That material was not used. So when people say blood in their eyes taught me, I don't know what's going on with my thing, but anyway, she's making comments about the fact that I don't understand what's going on with my screen. I'm sorry, guys.
You ready to find it?
My screen's messed up. Yeah, something about in my eyes taught me the something, and she said, ignore the effort of a heroic Black woman. If you see videos, yes, those are the videos prepared by Rockefeller Foundation under the leadership of Dr. Sybil Hampton.
Hampton. Okay.
Comment that I thought was good that needs to be highlighted. Somebody is talking about complacency and, you know, and stuff like that. If you've never been anywhere, you don't know how far behind you are. But then there was another comment about what they've learned so far tonight. Someone had commented that, just let me go back down to that. I'm trying to see who it was that made the comment. She said, whoever it was said, I have learned so much and I want to learn more. I want to help as much as I can to help get resources so much needed.
There's Miss Imus from UAMS.
Okay. All right. And she said she wanted to help us spread the truth. Okay. Thank you.
She's absolutely wonderful. Okay. And did we have any other questions? We got, it's 8:01. We started a little bit late. I want to make sure I answered any questions anyone had. Any other questions? Anyone, if you have something, you're going to put something in chat or ask any questions. I think we didn't, well, we started with the talking about ancestors and grandparents, and I think we started that early in the early part, and addressing transgenerational trauma. Get it out, Lisa. And another thing I'm working with some people on making sure that I started first and making sure that when I'm writing my grandmother's stories, you know, I just don't want to work with any and everybody, because we just mentioned a lot of stuff people probably didn't even know tonight. Probably some of we didn't, you know, a lot of us know what, you know, that bodies are buried in Elaine, and a lot of people say they're not. But with the culture of distrust, I mentioned some of our allies. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I mentioned Delta Commons. And building trust and community partnerships. Yep, I think we covered a lot of it. But yeah, it's important, you know, writing our family stories, because that is going to help. That I know it's helping me heal. It's helping me get into some places, because I felt I was distraught. Because y'all, I'm gonna tell you how I talked about Elaine, how much I love Elaine. They call me Big Country, because all I did was talk about Elaine, talk about the country, how I was raised, my grandparents growing up, and I love my community. And when I found out what happened, I was devastated. And it took me a minute. And what I come to realize is, it wasn't that place, it was the people.
Yeah.
It was the people. It was the people who raised us, and the churches that built most of us. And I think that is important to remember that. And we really need to invest a lot in our youth in Elaine. And I'm going to work hard to do that. I hope people will receive it well. One of the things I'm going to announce it publicly. I'm going to say publicly is that, we have some people who, this event was kind of hard. And the reason it was hard because of the reluctance. And, we had an essay contest. I had teachers afraid to let their students enter a essay contest about reconciliation, about a Black person and a white person. One whose grandfather was a perpetrator, and the other whose great uncle, great uncle was a victim, coming together and teaching us, something that's so very important. And so I was really disappointed in that. But I knew there was going to be this work was going to be hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew it was going to be hard. And sometimes I said, okay, Mama, you told me. Mama didn't want me to do this. She did, and I couldn't do this while she was still living. And Mama know better. So, but I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up because that's my community.
And I believe that's the thing, Lisa, that, and that's the way I feel. I'm not going away. I'm not going to go away, and that's the thing about it. So, regardless to how it's taken, we just have to find another way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, question, has Michael Cravens offered you any assistance?
No. Unfortunately, Mayor Cravens won't even return my phone call, respond to an email, and we have not had any falling out, any disagreement or anything. Our conversations have been cordial. There was an issue. I was wanting to apply for the position of city clerk, and I got some conflicting information about whether that was a position you had to be voted into or elected, or a position where you just applied. And even and so it was and so what I did was I posted my request. He wouldn't respond, so I posted it on Facebook. Hey, I'm interested in this position. These are my credentials.
Well, you go
back. What I can help the city with.
You go back and you look at it. Growing up, even as a teenager, I really never remembered anybody voting for mayor.
Right.
Elaine. They were kind of just appointed one from the other to the other to the other. We never really voted for mayor. So,
I've never heard of anybody voting in Elaine for anything.
That's right. Just recently. So there you have it.
We didn't have polling places that I recall.
No. Oh no.
Dang, man, that's deep.
So to answer that question, no, he has not offered any assistance, none whatsoever. He just reminded me that if I wanted to have an event in Elaine with more than 100 people, to let him know, so he could get extra security. Other than that,
he said what?
Just to, if you want to have an event, because yeah.
You're gonna
have a lot of people.
Event with a lot of people, then he extra security.
Yeah. And because I asked him, I said if I were gonna, because I just picked the phone up and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in the community, and I asked when we were gonna have the event at the high school, I said, are there any city ordinances I should be aware of? Should I have this many? What do I need to do? Can we block off that main street leading to the school? I was just asking questions to make sure I was in compliance with anything with the city, that just making sure I was aware of what I needed to be doing. So other than that, no. Oh, did we answer every question? Did anyone have any last thought, last comment? I think we covered as I think we did.
Critical race theory is the theory that they want to avoid discussing race in schools. So that may be part of.
Yeah, that has something to do with the essay contest. Someone reached out to me and said that and I kind of get how some of the teachers are reluctant to even touch something so
controversial.
Yeah, controversial, of course. And but you know what? How disappointing that you don't even want our young people to talk about reconciliation, about crossing those racial boundaries and healing and family and friend becoming. I mean, that is how sad, how very sad. We're gonna have to do better.
They were told, just go back to work and just kind of act like nothing has ever happened, And I think that just kind of trickled on down on through
That, what
the
did you
ages,
say?
They told them after everything was done, just go back to work, and act
Yeah.
like nothing has happened, and
Quiet.
everything's all right.
And
Yeah.
it's just from
And they
generation
took
to
on that
generation.
mindset.
That
Yeah.
mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's sad. That is sad. Any last thoughts? Anyone? Any more? Oh, I'm sorry.
We have an opportunity now to correct some of this.
Yeah.
And I come back to the same thing again, is knowledge and teaching. Teaching these young kids. We had a summer literacy camp at the school. These are the activities. I'm going to plug the Elaine High School.
Go right ahead.
Because, this is the community. This is the community hub. This is a place where we can actually bring our children into, and this is what we're doing. And if there's an opportunity to educate about some of these things while we still doing the run and the chase to get this massacre acknowledged the proper way, still got to bring these kids along.
Oh, I was looking for a quote, man. Somebody had this quote. I just thought it was just so crazy. It says, imagine being so ashamed of your history that you make it illegal to teach it to your children. Imagine being so ashamed of your history that you make it illegal to teach it to your children.
Lord, have mercy.
I saw that, man. I'm like, man,
that's where I received that.
Yeah. Imagine being so ashamed of your history that you make it illegal to teach it to your children.
Your own children.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what it is. That's it in a nutshell. They're ashamed of their own history. And they're trying to make it illegal to teach it to their own children. That's insane, man. That's evil. That's evil.
But we have 10 classrooms. We have 10 classrooms down at the high school, and we got a gym. And due to the pandemic, we kind of fell off of a lot of things that we were planning to do. We were planning on doing, but we're going to be picking that back up. Even our AAU basketball, we had started that off, got that kicked off. Now, giving an opportunity, giving our children something to do in our time, So while we are addressing these different things, we definitely got to address what's going on with our children now. If we're not doing that, then everything else is superfluous. It don't really don't mean it. So that's what we should be. That's what we should be doing. And we have the facility here to do it, and we have the organizations here to do it. So just get out here and get on the beat and do it.
And that is what the $100,000 GoFundMe, those funds will be used to help the high school, Yep, that's what those funds are going to be used for. And it's up on the event thing there. So everyone, please go.
After everything has happened, actually in the day, the school was actually the biggest thing that we had going.
Right.
Here.
Yeah, man.
In the day. I mean, out of everything that was in Elaine, the school was the hub.
Right.
So, and that was taken away. So, it kind of leaves you, it affects your mind, whole mindset of everything when you go back and look at it, because that's all we have really had.
Yeah.
So,
now we have it back, and through volunteers and everybody chipping in here and chipping in there, we're maintaining the school. We were barely maintaining the school. So we have different ways that you can actually give in order to help us. We have a GoFundMe going for our school. I think we're going to post that as well. We have our Elaine Alumni Association website as well. EHS at Elaine Alumni at EHS Panthers. Go Panthers. Elaine High School Panthers. EHS Panthers. And also when you go on there, register for the alumni. If you're an alumni member, you should be paying alumni dues, and all that information is on our website. So, and we need everybody. So we look forward to seeing you guys on that.
How long has that been going on?
What is it again?
Going on now for approximately 4 years, at least 4 years. Since
What is it again?
2016. It's the Elaine High School Alumni Association.
Oh, you know what? I'm following. I guess I'm not a member, but I'm following for some reason.
Well, become a member.
Huh?
I said become a member.
I didn't know you could. I thought it was just, you were just supposed to just like it or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
We'll make it.
All right. Anybody else have any, did we answer all of the questions? Okay, I think we got everybody.
And this Facebook.
Yeah.
Candace just
I don't
posted
see any
that.
more real questions.
Okay,
Posted that.
all right,
He posted the link to the Alumni Association.
okay. Oh, okay. Make sure I didn't have any, yep,
And
I
thank
think
you, Candace, for your magnificent work as well.
all right. And let me thank everyone who attended, who tuned in to listen to us and hear our stories, hear our plans, hear about our trauma, and listen to the woes. But I want everyone to look forward to seeing the wonderful things that we have planned, and I believe in it. I believe we're going to get these things done, and I'm just going to follow the lead of my ancestors and go into this fearlessly, and put boots on the ground and start grinding, start doing the work. And I hope everyone will meet me in the middle. All organizations will meet me in the middle, but understand I'm not going to be for the foolishness, and I'm not going to be for the oppressive. This massacre prevented generational wealth.
Right.
And it prevented generational wealth and created generational poverty. And nothing will change if we don't. And the first thing we have to change is our mindset and start acting like we deserve better. Because when our ancestors stood at that church with guns and were in there getting ready to, in 1919, sue white people, after they had gone over and fought a whole war for them on foreign soil, they knew they deserved better. And we have got to start acting like we deserve better, because we do. But we got to work for it, and we got to work together. So, and I thank you all, my panel. Thank you, Julian. I appreciate you. Thank you, Easter. Thank you, Pastor Gibson.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa, for having us. Thank you for having us. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it. Good meeting everybody. Seeing everybody.
Yeah. And I want Julian or Pastor Gibson, if you just let us, we're going to end with a prayer. And thank you, everybody, for attending. I appreciate you so very much. And thank you so much for the question. That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deacon Watson.
Oh, most for God, we come to you today, thanking you for all the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, oh Lord Jesus. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to come together here today, oh most for God, and tell this story, oh most for God. To bring this story to light, Lord Jesus. We thank you today, oh most for God. We ask that you be with us and guide us and keep us, oh most for God, while we explore this history, oh Lord Jesus, and while we bring light and shine light, oh merciful God. You love light, Lord Jesus. And you hate the Lord Jesus. So we ask that you help us to shine light upon this history of ours, oh merciful God, and teach those about this history, oh merciful God. We thank you today, Lord Jesus. In your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All right. Good night, everybody. Thank
Good night.
you again.
Good
Good
evening.
night. Good night.
Good night.